What's up, Brooklyn Squad? It's your girl Jay, and I'm back at it again with another video. Hold on, y'all, cause hey, Barbara, how are you, Queen? Give me 1 second. My phone went into the ashtray. Yeah. Oh my God, y'all. I think it's another. But what's up, everybody? We back again with another live, right? And it don't stop, and it won't stop. Right? As long as these people keep acting like monsters out there and unaliving these babies and trafficking people and doing all type of crazy shit, I'm gonna keep spreading awareness on it. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. And I'm not sorry because that's what I do. Right? My first cup of coffee at 8:30 at night. All day. First cup. Crazy, right? Yeah. Okay. We have a situation out in Georgia. Hey Kathy B. Hey Katie. Hey y'all. Oh God, let me just get this together. We have a situation out there in Georgia where there is a 18-month old was an 18-month old baby, right? 18 months, y'all. 18-month old. He wasn't even walking yet, probably. So we know he didn't make it to first grade. No birthday parties yet. High school, junior high school, girlfriend, nothing. He didn't make it to even walk before his father's girlfriend decided she was going to take that baby's life. How could you take a 1 month old baby's, a 18-month old baby's life? And she's a beauty pageant. So how did you go from being a beauty pageant to being a murderer, a monster? Unless you've been that already and you was just hiding it up, the mask. Because they did pick her up, went back out there and arrest her pretty quick. So what did they find on her records is what I want to know. And I'm finding this a little bit disturbing when, once again, this is another case that there's nothing really out there on it, but a little bit of news coverage, and that's it. I don't know where the damn daddy is. Where's the real mother? Because where's the little boy's mother? I'm gonna show the news coverage, but I'm just saying there's really nothing out here. So this might be a short live, but I do want to bring it to your attention. I would expect for the parents to be really out there like that. And maybe some parents don't want the cameras in their face, I guess. I don't know. But honey, if it's my child, bitch, you better, I'm going to put the camera in my face. I want all the smoke. What does her lawyers got to say? And where is the baby? Where's the father? Where's his father? And where's his mother? Because that wasn't his mother that took his life. It was the father's girlfriend. And not only this, check this out. It was at a college dorm. She was still in college. So, baby, now you done could forget about that and you can get your GED in your prison cell. Miss Pageant, let me show y'all what these people got to say about this heifer. So welcome to Brooklyn Squad, y'all. When y'all come on in here, come on in here, come on in here, hit that like button, share this video. Let's get this little baby out so more people could talk about him so that we can have some awareness on this child. And let me tell you something. I saw this on TikTok. I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for something else. And it rolled past my thing. I was like, oh, what is this? And this is like a day ago. I saw this on TikTok recently. Yes, Cat. Barbara had a birthday, y'all. I saw it. Well, I have been said happy birthday to her. Of course, you know I'm gonna say happy birthday to her. I had inboxed her happy birthday. Yes. Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. Um, I want to start. Let me talk about this, and then I'm gonna talk about something. I wanna let me do this first. Um, um, Stop potatoes. Okay. Um, she from Georgia, y'all. A Georgian pageant queen. I just can't. All right. Let me make sure y'all can see it. All right, y'all can see it. I always do that. I always want to make sure y'all can see it.
A Georgia pageant queen facing several charges in the death of an 18-month-old. Authorities arrested 18-year-old Trinity Pogue Friday after an investigation into the child's death. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the child was admitted to an emergency room in Americus, that's about 2 hours south of Atlanta. The GBI says hospital staff tried to save the baby, but he later died. Pogue is being charged with felony murder, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children, and is currently being held at the Sumter County Jail with no bail. She was crowned as Miss Donaldsonville last year and later competed in the National Peanut Festival pageant. Florida Governor.
That's it? Damn.
Top of his.
Tonight, a Georgia pageant.
And now she's crowned as Miss Murderer. How about that? How about that? Oh, that's something else. Hold on, y'all. We got it. That's just too short for me. Oh my God, there's so many cases. Oh my God, that case. I gotta bring that case to y'all. There's so many cases I gotta bring to y'all. It's crazy. I should do something today. But I didn't put it on my thumbnail.
There is new information tonight in the death of a little boy and the pageant queen charged with his murder. Authorities say Miss Donaldsonville killed that toddler in a dorm room at the college she attends. News 4's Bayla Walker live in the newsroom to explain these developments in this case that is receiving worldwide attention. Bayla, What's the latest?
Worldwide
Yeah, Kinsley,
attention.
a Georgia coroner
Where?
says the 18-month-old toddler
Well,
suffered
maybe it's
blunt
just not
force
a
trauma
bunch of you
to his head.
content people
Pageant
talking about
queen
it.
Trinity Pogue is charged with murder. She's a freshman at Georgia Southwestern University in Americus, Georgia. Now, the county coroner says that's where the boy suffered his injuries. Just 3 months after competing in Dothan's Miss National Peanut Festival pageant, Pogue is now in jail in Sumter County, Georgia. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation charged Pogue with aggravated assaults and cruelty to children. And Kinsley, as for the boy who died, there's some confusion about his name. Coroner Mathis Wright tells us his birth certificate lists him as Romeo Angles, but the boy's dad, whom investigators did not charge, named him Jackson Drew. Newsweek, major
Jackson
networks,
Drew.
and European
Right.
publications posted this story after News 4 broke it first on Saturday. Kinsley? A heartbreaking case. Bayla Walker, thank you for that update. Trinity Pogue, who is 18, has no bond and is still in jail. There is new information.
Now, they say they didn't charge the father. Okay. But where he at now? Because I haven't seen anything on him. I don't know who the baby mother is. I actually thought the baby was a little girl at first. That's why you see the thumbnail had like butterflies. And then when I found out it was a little girl, I said, oh, shoot, let me put a teddy bear up there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I try to make my thumbnails, special, for the victims. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see a little teddy bear or angel, but it also has spread awareness and little things like that. I don't know. I just do stuff like that. Poor baby, yes. We cannot trust anyone around you and your family. You can't. And it's a sad thing. But they saying this is worldwide news. Why ain't the news talking about it a lot? What they mean worldwide news? Let me clean my thing. What they mean worldwide news? If y'all haven't checked the live out from earlier, check the live out from earlier, y'all, because we had an amber. Well, it's still an amber alert, right? It's still an amber alert out for that two little babies that's out there. Yeah, I got to do some more digging into that. I was on the phone with another victim's mother. I was on the phone for a long time today with Timmy's mom. So I didn't get to do any digging into that, but once I get off of here I will. But yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. So you mean to tell me I'm in a relationship, right? I leave my child with you. I come back and my child is unalive? What? Right. Where are the parents? Exactly, Katie. I want to know where's the dad. I want to know where's the mother at. What are they saying about this? Where are they? Because you would have me everywhere. I'd be all up in your face. Okay? I'd be all up in your face. Hell, where you at? I know they grieving. I get that. Please don't come for me later on. The people that from the whoever comes in here watching this later on, don't come for me because I know they grieving. I get that, but I would be speaking out because I won't. I know that she's in prison, and she ain't in prison. She's in jail with no bond, which is good. Which is good, and that's another thing. Talking about bond, yeah, I got to talk about that. Something else. Since we talking about bond, since I'm talking about bond, I talked to um, Aaliyah, Alana Lanier's grandmother today, and Alana Lanier is still missing, but they trying to get bond out. That boy trying to get bond, but it was denied. It was denied. Amen to that. Amen. But like I said to the grandmother today, I said, amen, but Alana is still missing. And those monsters ain't talking about where she at. You know what I mean? Like they're not saying anything. They're not saying where she's at. So, and I think I figured out why I think they're not saying it, but that's just my own judgment. And they agree with me, certain family members. But I want to do that on a different live, because I want to bring something else connected to that. And maybe I can have someone up here, an activist or somebody speaking on what I want to talk with that, what I want to bring to that. Like someone talking about, it's just something I got for y'all that I'm thinking about doing. Not thinking about doing, but I am going to do, but I'm going to work on it. I thought about it when I was messaging her. But anyway, yeah, no bond, Katie. No bond, Kathy B. The people that know about the Alana Lanier case and Barbara, you should check into that case too. That's one of my dear cases, Alana Lanier. But no bond. No bond. But yeah, this poor baby. Let's see if I can find something else. Because somebody got this. Where's the parents at, God darn it? And who are the parents? All right, let me see something. Wait, what did I put before? Let me see. Baby Pageant kills. Baby. Right. Okay. Now, I don't know if we might get the boot for what hold on. Let me see something. What is this? Oh, here's another. I don't know if I could play that. Every time I try to play their thing, I get in trouble. So I don't want to play their thing. But they got some good stuff. I have my thing up, so I don't know why I get in trouble. Or maybe it was just Gypsy Rose case. Okay, look at this. Mother charged in death of 6 years old in the Bronx. Another mother. Parents that don't know how to act, right? If you can't care for your child, right? If you feel like you have a high temper and you can't care for your child, take your child to the fire people, the fire department, right? Take your child to a neighbor. Take your child somewhere safe. Don't do what this next person did that I just found just now.
Is in custody charged with child endangerment. A Bronx mother is in custody charged with child endangerment after her 6-year-old daughter was found dead in their apartment. CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal has more on how that little girl is being remembered tonight in Morrisania.
A memorial in the lobby of East 165th Street has grown to the outside. Candles in the shape of a J to remember little Jalea, who was so loved.
She was the sweetest girl I ever met in my life.
Tayana Crawford could barely hold back the tears as she spoke about the 6-year-old. She shared these memories from a few years ago.
She was just so sweet, like always wanted to give me a hug, show
talked
me
about
love, give
her.
me affection. Like,
Remember, y'all?
those things I'll never forget.
2 days after the little girl was found dead in her 12th floor apartment, police say with marks on her body and wrists. Her mother, 26-year-old Linnea Eason, is now charged with child endangerment.
No problems. Like, I just don't understand.
But clearly, there was something wrong. Police say 2 other children, an 8-year-old boy and 3-year-old girl, also in the apartment, both had signs of bruising and ligature marks indicating restraints. The 8-year-old even told police his mother had hit him in the past.
Anyone that live close enough can hear those kids from time to time.
A neighbor who lives below the apartment, 1 floor down, says on several occasions she heard children crying. Their screams at times were deafening. As the details on how exactly Jalea died had yet to be determined, those close to her say her sudden passing makes no sense.
Unexplainable.
As friends and neighbors mourn little Jalea's death here, her mother sits in jail. Her 2 other children are in ACS custody. In the Morrisania section of the Bronx, Naveen Dhaliwal, CBS 2 News.
And we talked about that case before. I remember that. You can't take care of your kids, man. I get that if you can't take care of your kids. But what I don't get is you offering your kids. I don't understand that. When there's so many outreaches and stuff like that. Caseworkers, Department of Social Service. Y'all want to see something? Let me show y'all something. What is going on with me? It seems like my hands are sensitive. I touch something like this and I I don't know. This is weird. What's going on with me? Let's see. Let's watch something. Hold on. Let's see something. Mm-mm. Y'all want to see this? Very heartbreaking. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a crazy shame. Then you got people that would take out your whole family. Those are the sick people too. I can't have you. I'm taking out you, your newborn, that baby, and that baby.
I tell the story of Valerie, Shantia, and Duana Pride, who were stabbed to death inside their Phoenix, Arizona home on September 6, 1982. Valerie, who was 24 years old, was home that night with her daughters, Shantia, who was 8, and Duana, who was 4, when someone came and knocked on their door. When Valerie's boyfriend came home, he found all 3 dead inside the house. They had all been stabbed multiple times. The investigation into these brutal murders left detectives scrambling for suspects and a motive. Over 40 years later, 2 questions remain. Who killed Valerie and her girls, and why? This is Valerie, Shantia, and Duana's story. When some people hear about an unsolved murder that took place over 40 years ago, it's hard for them to imagine that after all this time, there is a possibility that it can be solved. But with the advancement of technology and renewed attention, we have
40
seen time and
years.
time again cold cases be solved. The stabbing death of 2 young girls and their mother is a case that continues, even after decades, to be one that needs the public's attention. Someone knows something, and the family of these victims deserves to find out the truth. Valerie Latham was born on March 9th, 1958, and was raised in Arizona alongside her 5 brothers and 1 sister. She attended South Mountain High School, and after graduation, she went on to attend Arizona State University. In high school, Valerie started dating a young man named Jimmy Pride, and eventually they got married. In 1974, Valerie gave birth to her first daughter, Shantia, and then 3 years later, she had her second daughter, Duana, in 1977. Outside of her role as a mother and wife, Valerie, according to those who knew her, was a very accomplished young woman. She had aspirations of becoming an electrician, and around the same time her second daughter was born, she had begun an apprenticeship co sponsored by the Electric Workers Union. Valerie began working as an electrician in the program at Palo Verde nuclear plant. Not only was this a major accomplishment personally for Valerie, it
Wow.
was also history making at the company because she was the first Black female electrician to ever work there. Even at such a young age and with 2
That's amazing. That's a really good job she had. Wow. Okay. And I bet you probably she did her job so well, she might have had a lot of jealous people. I've never heard of this young lady's case. As I was scrolling through, I said, let me play this because here we go again, young kids. So since we was talking about that young baby that was unalive, which is no information on that but a news coverage, um, I said, well, let me, you know, keep in the same topic of people taking out young kids. And this is a whole family. You know what I mean? So.
young children of her own, Valerie had achieved so much. At the time, she and her young family were living in Phoenix, Arizona, but there isn't any
I be
public
trying,
information
y'all. I
about
mean,
Valerie's
I'm not the
husband.
best YouTuber.
However, after being married for a few years, eventually the couple, who had been high school sweethearts, ended their marriage. Valerie's apprenticeship at the power plant was a 4-year apprenticeship. And so, even though divorces can be hard, she was focused on achieving her goals.
Mm,
After her divorce, she began dating a man named Ben, who also worked at the plant with her. Ben also had children from a previous relationship. Valerie and Ben's relationship became serious, and the couple began planning a life together. There were, however, issues in the relationship, according to Valerie's sister, Vicky.
mm,
She told ABC 15 in Phoenix during an interview that there were issues in Ben's past that affected his relationship with Valerie. Now, she did not specify what those issues were, but she said that Ben would always reassure Valerie that he was handling whatever it was. Now, the issues that the couple may have had did not stop Valerie from continuing her relationship with Ben. And eventually, the couple decided to purchase a home together, which was a very big step. In 1982, they settled on a Spanish style home that had just been built in the South Mountain area of Phoenix. As Valerie began the final year of her apprenticeship, her life was headed in the right direction. She was on her way to being a successful electrician, and even after her divorce, had found love again and bought a new home. There was no way for Valerie or anyone that knew her to foresee what would happen to her and her daughters just a few weeks after they moved into their new home.
mm. Damn. 40 years, though. Jesus.
Labor Day weekend 1982 had started normally for Valerie and her daughters. But on Monday, September 6, 1982, what started as a normal holiday became anything but. Around 4 p.m., Ben got a devastating phone call. His daughter, who was 9 years old at the time, had an epileptic seizure while taking a bath and had been rushed to the hospital. According to reports, the little girl had been in the tub and her mother had been supervising her, but when she stepped away for a brief moment, the seizure occurred and the 9-year-old had slipped under the water. Doctors at the hospital attempted to save the little girl's life, but by the time Ben arrived at the hospital, his daughter had been pronounced dead. While Ben was at the hospital dealing with this tragedy of his daughter's sudden death, Valerie and the girls were home alone. In a time before cell phones, there would have been no way for Valerie to contact Ben to get updates about what was going on, and so she would have just had to wait for him to contact her. What exactly was going on in the hours after Ben left for the hospital is not exactly known, but what we do know is that around 9:30 p.m., Valerie spoke to Ben's brother on the phone. Now, over the years, reporting about who was on the phone has varied. Some reports state Valerie was on the phone with a friend, while others say it was her brother. But in a recent interview, Vicky, Valerie's sister, said that she was on the phone with Ben's brother. Now, according to Ben's brother, he and Valerie spoke on the phone for about 10 minutes or so. And so, if she was speaking to Ben's brother, he may have been giving her an update about what was going on with Ben's daughter. But nonetheless, he said during their conversation, someone knocked on the door of Valerie's home. She said she had to get off the phone to answer the door since Ben wasn't home, and they ended their conversation. Now, little did he know that he would be the last person to ever speak to Valerie.
Don't y'all find that very strange? The whole situation? His baby is in the hospital because of a tragic, tragic accident. And then this happens. Hmm. Very strange, right? Mm-hmm. Very, very strange.
At around 10 p.m. that night, after hours at the hospital, Ben returned home with no idea what awaited him on the other side of his front door. When he first walked up to his home, he immediately noticed that the front door was open. And that was unusual to him because it was the summer in Arizona, and so people don't leave their doors open. But when Ben pushed the door open and stepped in the living room of his home, he found a brutal and
Thank you,
bloody crime
Madison.
scene. Valerie's two daughters, 8-year-old Shantia and 4-year-old Duena, were lying in the living room covered in blood. Both children were dead.
Mm.
In the dining room area, a few feet away near the kitchen, he found Valerie. She was also dead and covered in blood. What Ben found in his home was indescribable, and he began screaming hysterically after finding Valerie and her daughters. His cries were so loud that neighbors came out of their homes to see what was going on, and they ended up calling the police for Ben, who was inconsolable. It's hard to imagine what was going on in his mind. He had just found out his own daughter had died, and then he came home to find his girlfriend and her daughters slaughtered in the home that they
This
had
is some
just moved into.
strange. Did he have somebody? Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to write this name down.
When police arrived at the scene, for some of the officers, it was
Yeah. Tell me it ain't so. How strange is that? I'm gonna have to do my FBI work. Who's the father? This case makes me want to dig into some things. And this is a 40-year-old case. I knew nothing about this case. I was just wandering through. But that's what God does. You know, God brings you to certain things for a reason. He brings you to certain things for a reason. Why he brought me to this case? Look at this. Wow.
was the worst crime scene that they had ever encountered.
Jeez.
There was blood all over the home. Quote, "My God, it's terrible in there. There are stabbings everywhere," one of the detectives told the Arizona Republic newspaper. Murders involving stabbings can be some of the most gruesome. But when there are also children involved, it makes the crime scene even that much more difficult to deal with. In the living room, the detectives who arrived at the scene found the two girls huddled together in the living room near the love seat. They were in their pajamas and had likely been getting ready for bed when they were attacked. Valerie was found in the dining area near the kitchen. Her body was found feet from the back door. All three victims had been stabbed multiple times. Reports state that one of the girls had been mutilated. There had been no forced entry at the home, and so before receiving information about the knock on the door, police weren't sure how the killer gained entry to the house. But they had been able to determine that they had escaped out the back door and jumped over the fence to get away. Now, the initial assumption that this may have been a robbery gone wrong was quickly ruled out. As police began to try and process the crime scene, news of what happened inside the home began to spread throughout the neighborhood where they lived. And finding who did this and why was the cops' top priority. With no forced entry and no robbery, it was clear that the Pride family had been targeted, and the stabbing, and it was personal.
Right.
But who would want to kill a mother and her two little girls? Investigators had no idea, but they did know one thing. They needed to find whoever it was, and they needed to find them fast.
Look. Jeez.
On September 6th, 1982, Valerie, Shantia, and Duena Pride were found stabbed to death inside their Phoenix, Arizona home. After they were found, detectives began to try and piece together a motive and a suspect. As investigators continued to process the crime scene at the house where Valerie and her children had been brutally murdered, they noticed that the condition of the home meant that it was likely that someone had heard something. Police and detectives began canvassing the neighborhood, speaking to neighbors of Valerie's and Ben's to see if they had heard anything unusual. One of the neighbors they spoke to said that they did hear some
I'm
kind
sorry.
of commotion at the house at around 9:45 p.m. They said that they heard what sounded like an argument coming from the home. Now, the neighbors said that they thought it was just like a family fight, and when they looked outside, they didn't see anybody leaving the house. At around 11 p.m. on the night of the murders, Jimmy Pride, Valerie's ex-husband and the father of her girls, arrived at her home. And when he was informed about the murders of his daughters, Jimmy became hysterical, as you can imagine. Police ended up having to restrain Jimmy until he calmed down. Detectives spoke to several of Valerie's neighbors, but most of them had not heard anything, and the ones that did hear something had not seen anything.
I
With
hate
robbery
this.
ruled out, detectives were having a hard time developing a motive for these murders. It was hard enough to imagine someone doing this to Valerie, let alone her two innocent children. As the investigation unfolded, the detectives dove deeper into this tragic case.
They see nothing. They I mean, they ain't heard nothing. They ain't see nothing. They ain't gonna say nothing. And that's the shit that's I hate that, man. I mean, back in the days, it was cool when they say, I ain't no snitch, I ain't gonna be no snitch. Yeah, 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 yeah. But come on. Oh, and this was 40 years ago. Wait a minute. What I'm saying. Yeah, this was 40 years ago. Somebody had a, oof, very personal, very vindictive grudge on them. My question is, who was she? I forgot who was she on the phone with again. Was it his brother? Was it the boyfriend's brother? Can somebody tell me in the comments who was she on the phone again with before she got the door? I think it was it the boyfriend's brother.
Piecing together crucial details that shed light on the sequence of events leading to Valerie and her daughter's murder. Among their discoveries, the investigators found out about Valerie's final phone call, and it was a clue that significantly contributed to figuring out the timeline of the murders. According to the investigators, it appeared that Valerie had been ambushed shortly after opening the door, setting off the chain of horrifying events. The investigators theorized that in a desperate bid to protect herself, Valerie might have instinctively rushed towards the kitchen to find a weapon to defend herself. Tragically, she was the first victim. After that, both of her daughters were brutally stabbed. A critical piece of evidence confirming the investigators' theory of how the killer got away was a bloody handprint that was discovered on the fence behind the family's home. This pointed to the exact route taken by the perpetrator, who had managed to get away by scaling the fence before running through the yard of an abandoned home nearby.
Mm.
Hi, everyone.
These damn
Welcome to my
commercials, y'all.
Doomsday Last Survivors
I
vlog.
get it though. They
Today-
gotta get paid.
But complicating the investigation further was the
You
fact that
know?
the family had only recently moved into the neighborhood just a few weeks before the murder. The fact that most people in the neighborhood did not know the young family heightened the challenge for law enforcement. In their effort to find answers, the police began to redirect their focus towards understanding Valerie's life, her social circles, family
Mm-hmm.
connections, and the potential existence of any enemies. But despite exhaustive searches into Valerie's background, friends, and her family, The investigators found nothing out of the ordinary. Valerie's life appeared very normal. She had no conflicts with anyone or disputes that could offer a motive for such a heinous crime.
Mm.
The detectives were baffled, and without any leads
Sure
pointing to a
was.
plausible motive, the investigators found themselves grappling with the unknown surrounding the inexplicable and senseless murders of Valerie and her children. When the autopsy was performed, it was confirmed that all three victims had sustained multiple stab wounds. However, they had not been sexually assaulted, and so that was
Ugh.
also ruled out as a possible motive.
Ugh.
Funerals for Valerie and her daughters were held on September 10th, 1982. The devastating murders had rocked the community where they lived and left their family and friends completely devastated. And with the killer still on the loose, people were also fearful that there was a killer walking around free. And as the days went by, detectives were unable to narrow down the motive or any suspects. During the investigation, detectives had learned that in August 1982, about a month before the murders, there had been a break-in at Valerie and Ben's home. And during the break-in, it's not clear if anything was taken, but whoever had done it had slashed the waterbed in the couple's room and then took Valerie's clothing and placed them in the water. The strange incident made investigators wonder if there had been a connection between the break-in and the murders. Slashing a waterbed and putting someone's clothing in it is personal. It did seem like someone was mad at Valerie about something, but even after following up on the break-in, detectives were unable to find any additional evidence about whoever had done it. As the months passed, what seemed like promising leads in this case began to dwindle, leaving detectives dealing with a growing sense of frustration. Despite receiving hundreds of tips from the public, none had managed to help the investigators get any closer to identifying a viable suspect or unraveling the mystery behind the brutal murders of Valerie and her daughters. As the case became cold, a familiar pattern emerged as rumors started to circulate around the unsolved case. This is common in the aftermath of unsolved murders, and Valerie's
She's really
case
good
was no
at looking
exception.
at what she does. I like
Among the speculations that surfaced, the one that
that. Check her
began to gain
channel out. What
traction
is that thing
was the
right there?
suggestion that the death of Ben's daughter might somehow be linked to the triple homicide. Now, some individuals the
Really?
detectives interviewed insinuated that Valerie and her daughters may have fallen victim to a vengeful act, possibly in retaliation for the tragic loss of Ben's 9-year-old daughter. However, an
How?
autopsy conducted in the aftermath of the young girl's death had conclusively determined that her death was consistent with an epileptic seizure,
Right.
ultimately resulting in an accidental drowning.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand because I thought that her death was accidentally from her seizures and she had drowned. You know what I mean? So how could that be a retaliation again? But let's see what she has to say though. I don't know. That was weird. It's that they thought that.
After receiving the autopsy report, the investigators had no evidence to suggest that
Mm,
the unfortunate and unintentional death of this child had anything to do with these murders, or that it would be motive enough to drive someone to commit such a brutal and heinous
right,
murder.
how?
But despite the rumors circulating within the community, the detectives continued in their efforts to separate fact from fiction. It was a difficult job trying to navigate through the intricate web of speculation surrounding this case. As the 1-year anniversary of the murders approached, detectives working the case found themselves no closer to finding the killer or killers than they were when they first began. A reward of $2,000 was being offered by the union Valerie worked for and the Silent Witness program, but there had still been no new or significant leads coming in about this case.
Just 3 weeks and we'll be in England.
What if England don't like me?
It's too.
However, in
August
August
19th,
1983,
1980.
investigators announced that they had arrested
August
someone in
1980.
connection with the murders. A 14-year-old high school student had been taken into custody. Now, when the 14-year-old was arrested, detectives said that
Whoa.
they were also searching for another juvenile and an adult who they believed were involved in the murder of Valerie and her daughters. The
What?
Arizona Republic newspaper reported that police said that they believed the killing was an act of revenge for the death of Ben's daughter. The 14-year-old that was arrested was apparently a relative of the little girl. Now, despite having gotten the autopsy about the girl's death and their initial doubts, they now believe that these murders may have been some kind of revenge against Ben for the death of his daughter. But their theory still did not make much sense, and it's not clear what evidence investigators received that led them to this conclusion. But it was the first time since the murders that police had found anything significant in this case. However, just 24 hours after the arrest, the 14-year-old was let go. The district attorney had declined to file charges and said that more investigation was needed by the Phoenix Police Department and her office. The other two potential suspects were never arrested, and no charges were ever filed against the 14-year-old. It's not clear who those two other people were, but after what seemed like a break in the case, once again, it went cold. 2 years after the murders, police got a new lead. A neighbor had found a knife in a backyard. When police collected the knife, it was similar in size to the one believed to have killed Valerie and her daughters. The knife was sent to a crime lab for analysis, but they were unable to find any DNA evidence from Valerie, Shantia, or Duena. As the years turned to decades, detectives continued to pursue what little leads they had in this case. Investigators said that they spoke to over 1,000 people, but still had been unable to narrow down their killer or their motive. They believed, however, that someone who knew Valerie and her girls knows something about what happened. In 2012, detectives working the case said that they had done all they could in terms of leads and needed the public's help. Their theory was that these murders were personal. Whoever had done this had come to their home that night with one intention, and that was to murder Valerie, Shantia, and Duena. The question of why is still a big part of this mystery. It has now been over 40 years since Valerie, Shantia, and Duena were stabbed to death, and their murder continues to be unsolved.
Wow.
Investigators believe that someone close to Valerie knows what happened, and it's hard to understand how someone could do something like this and then just go on with their
Their
lives like
life.
nothing happened. In recent years, with advanced technology, detectives have begun retesting evidence in this case and have submitted DNA found at the scene into the national database. There will never be a reason that makes sense about why Valerie and her daughters were murdered, because this murder was the epitome of senseless. They did not deserve what happened to them, and no matter how much time has gone by, anyone willing to stab 3 people to death deserves to be brought to justice. May Valerie, Shantia, and Duena rest
Rest in
in
peace.
peace. Thank you for listening to this week's episode.
Wow. Shout out to her, man. That was so sad. And 40 40 something years, it's still an unsolved case. But I wouldn't understand how could that case be related. You know what I mean? But I think it's very, very strange that his daughter, oh, what the hell? That his daughter, your hubby is an electrician? Oh, okay. Shout out to Kathy B. husband making that money. Yeah, it's unbelievable. All these years. Wow. I want to look into that. I want to see some more about that case. I want to know where's the father at? The children's father? Where's her side of the family? I'm just interested to, you know, where's her side and what they think. What they think happened. Who they think did it. Very interesting now. Now I'm definitely interested in the case. Wow. Do y'all remember who she was talking to on the phone? I think it was his brother. Was it? When he was saying, he was telling her what happened to the little girl? Or was it her husband or her boyfriend? I don't know whether they were married. I can't remember. But it's very sad, and unfortunately, you got some monsters out there that do some crazy shit. And they thought it was those little kids, but those little kids are related to him. But how could it be a get back? She didn't do nothing to the baby. The baby died, and allegedly, the baby had a seizure. But is that what really happened to that baby? Did she really have a seizure and drown? I don't know. That's why I want to look into it a little bit more too. I don't know. Did she really have a seizure and drown? Was somebody jealous of their relationship? Maybe. Because they wasn't molested, which is good, You know what I'm saying? Thank God they wasn't, sexually molested. Could this have been a female that did it? Maybe, and I'm just throwing out a theory. Could this have be his baby mama, his first baby mama? Shit, I lost my baby. Now I'm coming for you. I don't know. I'm just saying. But y'all, I don't want to, I don't want to put blame nowhere. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like people are crazy out there. You know what I mean? Could this have been an obsessive girlfriend he had? Who knows? But with that, I will see y'all tomorrow. Be safe out there, y'all. Like I always say, watch your surroundings. Be very, very careful. And I adore y'all so much. Y'all come here, and it's the same ones to come here and support me. Thank you. And as we got the new ones too that come here and support me. And I really appreciate y'all too. I appreciate everybody so much. This has been a long journey, a long process. And I'm not going nowhere. I'm still going to continue to ride it out. I'm still going to continue to ride it out. So with that, everyone have a blessed night. Peace out.